Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your October 2020 general readings for the first half of October. So we're looking at the 1st to the 15th, the first 2 weeks. This reading is for the air sign of Aquarius. Welcome everyone. I hope you're all safe and well and healthy and sane as we start transitioning down to the last quarter of this year. Thanks for taking the time to tune in today, and for all of your likes, shares, subscribes, donations. All of it is very welcome and appreciated. Thank you. So this reading is for Aquarius. That's Aquarius Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. If you're cross-watching for a Cancerian, if your moon is in Aquarius, did I say all that right? Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. It's all relevant, even if you're cross-watching for an Aquarian. But as you know, general readings always resonate a little differently for everyone. So watch all of your signs if you know them, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, because each one can bring in a different bit of insight and perspective and kind of help you navigate through whatever's, in front of you in your life right now. If you find that any of the readings do resonate with you and you'd like to reach out for a personal reading, you can get my contact info by clicking on the description link below. Click on that little arrow. You'll see my email address there, Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to hear from you and to work with you. I can usually respond within the same day with more information, or the first 24 hours. And I do readings full time. It's all that I do. So I'm pretty diligent at working with your schedule and mine to get those readings out to you as quickly as possible, or scheduled with you as quickly as possible. So email me if you're interested. Okay, Aquarius, let's see what the first 2 weeks of October have in store for you. I am using the Gilded Tarot Royale, and for clarification, I will be using the Steampunk Tarot, which I was recently gifted. Lovely, sort of Victorian-esque DIY feel to it. Okay, we begin with the Four of Pentacles, followed by the Ten of Wands. We have the Six of Cups, and for the overall focus and energy for the first half of October, that Nine of Swords. Do not like this card. So much stress, anxiety, and worry. Typically about, the Nine of Swords usually comes up when somebody is worried about an unknown future. What am I going to do if this happens? What am I going to do if that doesn't happen? Swords are governed by the element of air, which governs our mind. How we see things, perspectives, ideologies, truth, education, higher learning. So the Nine of Swords is kind of a card about your fears hijacking your rational mind. It's not that the source of your concern, anxiety, stress isn't real, but the Nine of Swords represents thinking about it in an obsessive, usually negative way, envisioning the worst possible outcome or anticipating the worst possible outcome until it gets to be so big in your head that it doesn't really match the reality of the external situation. So a lot of stress, anxiety, and worry. And Aquarius, it looks like here, excuse my hoarseness today, often this way in the morning this time of year. It looks like your stress may have something to do with either perhaps a family member, the family itself, dynamics within the family, or somebody that you have a long-term historical connection with. Because we do have the Six of Cups here. And I feel like this is kind of central to what this is about. So the Six of Cups is often a card associated with history, reminiscence, nostalgia. It can represent parents, family, childhood, roots of origin, where you grew up. It can also represent people, places, and situations that you have a long time connection with, sometimes from childhood or more recently, but there's some kind of long-term connection with. I think for some of you, this feels more like the concern and worry and feeling very overburdened is about family. For some of you, it might be around finances or material issues around the family. We have the Four of Pentacles, which is a card that represents, well, fours can represent stability. They can also represent stagnation. Uh, this, I've heard it referred to as the miser card because it can represent, needing to be very careful with your finances and material resources. It can represent savings, holding on to what you have. Sometimes it can represent holding on too tightly because you've already lost quite a bit and you want to conserve what you have left. Holding on to savings. On an emotional level, the Four of Pentacles can represent being very protective, guarded, kind of not so much defensive, but it can represent feeling kind of closed off and guarded. And then we have the Ten of Wands in the middle between those two cards here. Tens usually represent cycle completion or achievement. And sometimes that means the situation will end once and for all, and sometimes it represents that it's reached an achievement level and it's just going to coast there for a time. The 10 in any suit represents the most of the energy of that suit. So the Ten of Wands is a card about, as you can see, feeling perhaps overwhelmed, burdened, feeling like a burden is coming to an end, or a cycle that has become very burdensome has come to an end, or needs to come to an end, because it's a card that can represent feeling overwhelmed. It's the majority of, the Ten of Wands is the Ten of Fire. That's the element which governs this suit. So it's the most that this suit can hold. And the suit of Wands, which is governed by fire, is, it can point to careers, projects, things which inspire us, things we feel excited or passionate about, things which we need to create or are in the process of creating. But this is like an overwhelming kind of energy where something perhaps that started out as something exciting or something that you loved or something you were very connected with has become very burdensome. And it's flanked by these two cards, the Four of Pentacles and the Six of Cups. So for some of you, it might be finances around the family, worrying about, how can I continue to carry this? Perhaps you're the only one kind of, it could be financial and it could be emotional, the burden. It feels like, the weight of the world is on your shoulder. Perhaps not the world, but whatever the Six of Cups represents, whether it's taking care of your family, it might be a situation within your family dynamics. And it might be with a particular person that might not be within your family. It might be like a childhood friend or long-term friend. Or someone or something that you've been attached to for some time. There's a sense here for those of you for whom this is financial, or just feeling like the burden of taking care of everything or keeping everything together is on you, that you're just kind of tired of doing it and you're worried how much longer you can do it. And even if the situation is more, about a relationship or, the emotions of the dynamics of a relationship or a family system, again, it's a general reading, so the details and specifics of whatever your own individual story is going to be different, of course. But the energy is fundamentally the same. You're tired of holding on. You're perhaps wondering how much further you can do this, or how much longer you can do this, or even if you can, or even if you should or want to. That's kind of the energy. So let's clarify some of this. Having a bad hair day today. About 9 months overdue for a haircut. Okay, let's clarify this Nine of Swords, all this stress, anxiety, worry. Oh, two cards just jumped right out. The Moon and Strength. So we're clarifying this anxiety-ridden Nine of Swords, and we have the Moon and Strength. So that's what it is. It's fear of an unknown future. Do I have the strength it takes to keep walking forward even though things aren't entirely clear? Because the moon sheds light just like the sun does. Well, actually, that's not entirely true on a science level. The moon reflects the light of the sun, so it's a weaker, watery light, and things are not anywhere near as clear when the moon comes out as they are with the sun. It can represent, fears that we normally, during the course of our day-to-day life, keep, undercover, or we keep kind of battened down or compartmentalized. The moon can represent those fears kind of coming to the surface, especially, at 2 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep and all of these worries and issues start coming up and you start chasing them in your head over and over again. What's going to happen? It's not clear. Do I have the strength to do this? Trying to summon up the strength to do this, to face the things that I might be afraid of, even if it's within myself. So that's kind of the general focus or the general energy for the first 2 weeks. Now, knowing that, ahead of time, Aquarius, that's why we watch these readings. Forewarned is forearmed, so we can get a bit of a glimpse ahead. You can, you can lessen some of this energy by knowing about it ahead of time. I don't think this is something you're going to stop stressing about, but it doesn't need to be that Nine of Swords energy. Let's clarify this Four of Pentacles. I think you guys, this feels like, Aquarius, you just need to take a bit of a break, or carve out some niches of time for a break just to focus on yourself. Kind of get some of your, your mojo back, Clarify the Four of Pentacles. Judgment. Being at a crossroads, having an opportunity to make a choice that may affect, change your life path trajectory, or change things for one way or the other. Judgment is kind of that, it represents, it usually comes up when there's a choice. And the choice itself may not seem all that significant, but the consequences after the choice or the course of action is taken can be profound. It's kind of like that place, that time period in a courtroom drama where, the accused is called to the stand to testify in their own defense, and what they say could potentially change the outcome. That's kind of what judgment is about, because to be judged, what does judgment mean? It means that you're called to account, to answer for yourself, and that could change things one way or the other. You won't be able to come back from that. You can't unsay things, undo things. So is the choice here, Aquarius, to hold on or to let go? Clarify judgment. Judgment on the Four of Pentacles. The Seven of Wands. I sometimes refer to this as my sneaky thief card, although in this particular deck, the Steampunk Tarot, the person is not portrayed quite the same as in a lot of other decks where he's portrayed as somebody who's sneaking and stealing stuff. It's a card primarily about being strategic in order to achieve whatever your goals or aims are. The Seven of Wands represents someone who has something they want to gain, acquire, accomplish, and in doing that, they operate undercover. So they're not talking about their plans, ideas, actions. Sometimes that can be, it can represent deceit, sneakiness, theft, exploitation, but it can also represent, just going off the grid and doing something in secret or not sharing it, because that's what you feel you need to do in order to accomplish or accomplish the thing, acquire the thing. For example, the Seven of Swords this is the Seven of Wands. It can also represent, I don't know why I saw this as the Seven of Swords. It's the Seven of Wands, which is primarily a defensive card. And it's a card about, defending that which you have put a lot into. Yeah, again, I'm getting the sense, Aquarius, that because we have judgment here, although not justice yet, it might be a legal situation. But it feels like, you're wondering if you should continue to defend and hold on to, protect, guard, defend something that you've put a lot of energy into. Whether this is an emotional situation, something happening within the family dynamics, which I feel it is for some of you. Um, Working really hard to, pay the bills or continue living at a certain standard. Um, yeah, I mean, regardless of what the situation is, it feels like the issue is you're seriously considering, do I, because nobody can operate under this Ten of Wands energy for very long. It's just too hard. It's too much of a burden. It's too overwhelming. So the question is, should I just abandon this? Should I make major changes and step back? Um, if it's about paying all of these bills and maintaining everything and feeling like the responsibility and the weight of it is on my shoulders, and I can't, of course, stop paying bills, what can I do to restructure my life, restructure my bills so that, adjust my standard of living, or maybe go a little bit more minimalistic, so that the pressure doesn't feel like it does right now? Or do I hold on? The same as if it's an issue within a relationship, like a family member or even a spouse, or like a long-term friend or something like that. The source of whatever the burden is going to vary in a general reading depending on what your story is. But do you continue to hold on to it? Do you continue to defend it? Or do you adjust or make changes? Let's clarify that Ten of Wands. Has something happened? It feels like for some of you something has happened to kind of bring everything to the surface, or yeah, let's clarify the Ten of Wands. What is this about? Oh, Ten of Swords. So we've got the Ten of Wands and the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords is traditionally, and it's pretty extreme in the steampunk deck. Often in decks, the artwork is the swords hovering above the person, but here they're actually in the person's body. This is a card that speaks of betrayal, feeling betrayed, thrown under the bus, lied to, cheated on. It doesn't have to mean those things, but the underlying senses of betrayal. Yeah, the Ten of Wands and the Ten of Swords is Aquarius, where something happened in your life, something's happened, and you're like, this is it. I can't keep doing this. This is too much. And, I'm the one doing all of this stuff, and you're doing this, and this is what I find out. This has got to stop. This has got to end. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting. Let's clarify that Ten of Swords. Kind of an intense reading, Aquarius. I'm sorry for any of you who are going through this, as we all do at least once in our life. Clarify the Ten of Swords. The Queen of Wands, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Showing up as a queen, could be a male too. So there's this, whatever this hurt, this sense of betrayal, this I can't do this anymore, I can't do this any longer, is centered around this individual. It could be a fire sign individual in your life. The Five of Swords and the Queen of Swords just jumped out for her as well. Fights, arguments, sharp tongues, like people just really kind of yelling and screaming and gnawing on each other. It looks like somebody did something to you, Aquarius. Of course, it could be the other way around for some of you. And, it produced this feeling of betrayal and like, I just can't do this anymore. I just feel so done. Goodness, I know that I think it was the August mid-month reading was very difficult for some of the air signs as well. It looks like this might be either a final ending, clarify the Six of Cups, a final ending or a sense of something, everything blowing up out of proportion. Maybe you found something out, you found like you're just totally betrayed, and you're like, either this ends or it has to completely transform. It feels like this is kind of like Judgment Day, basically. clarify the Six of Cups. The Eight of Wands, travel, leaving very quickly, can also represent communication. The Eight of Wands represents fast action, fast movement, traveling, movement forward. This is not a stagnant energy. What else is behind that? The Ten of Pentacles. Family home, family money, family business, family property, long-term stability and security. So you've got 3 tens on the table here, Aquarius. It's either something to do, it's either something about your family, family history, family dynamics, someone within your family system, or it could be the family home itself. I mean, for some of you, it might be about your house mortgage and not being able to carry it any further. And it looks like somebody might be making a decision to leave home, leave the family. This deck is so new that the cards keep sliding all over the place. Clarify the Eight of Wands. Temperance, which is a card about balance and restoring balance. So if this is an emotional situation within, again, this family dynamics or situation, or a personal relationship that has a lot of history to it, this is about leaving, at least temporarily, to restore balance, probably within yourself as well, or somebody leaving to restore balance, or taking a break to bring balance back to the home and family. It might be, for some of you for whom this is just financial material issues, it might be leaving home, changing residences because you can no longer afford to kind of maintain and do what you have been doing. It's just, it's too hard. You just can't do it. Depends on which of these stories it is for you. I mean, and all of it's emotional, but some of you it's going to be centered around finances and material resources and the home itself, which of course does affect the family and you. Or for others of you, it's going to be some emotional situation in terms of relationship with someone in your home, a spouse, children, or extended family members, or a long-term like friendship or something like that, where there needs to be some separation, at least for a time, to restore balance to the family, to the situation, to the relationship. Quickly. So let's pull some advice and guidance cards since we're almost at 23 minutes already. Advice and guidance, what's the best way for Aquarius to navigate through this, at least for the first half of October? Nine of Pentacles, focusing on yourself, focusing on your independence, your self-sufficiency, empowerment, self-confidence. This is somebody who has worked really hard to get to where they're at, to have the things that they have, and now they're enjoying them. They don't owe anybody anything. Nobody's handed anything to them on a silver platter. You know, this is somebody who doesn't go after things or people out of a sense of compulsory need, because they're fine in and of themselves, whether they're alone or whether they're not. It's about focusing on your own stability and structure and comfort, in a sense. One more. The Empress, which is interesting because the Empress is also a card that can be very much about self, nurturing self, self-love, self-value, sometimes in a very, sensual, hedonistic way, as is portrayed more in this one. You've worked really hard for the things that you have, for the things that you've done, and this is a card that represents taking advantage of that, doing things that make you feel good, often physically good, walking on the beach, taking a bubble bath, getting a massage, mani-pedi, all of that kind of stuff, kind of indulgence. It's a card about fertility, that the time is right to plant seeds to grow something new. It's usually a good sign for beginning new things. But I think especially with the Nine of Pentacles here, it's about taking the time, regardless of what the situation is for you, Aquarius, and focusing on taking care of yourself, and I think regaining that sense of, I'm fine, it looks like you've been at the point here where you're just overwhelmed with trying to do so much, or trying to take care of things, or organize things, or mediate, or whatever it is, and you feel like you can't do it anymore. So it feels like there needs to be some kind of getting away, some kind of break where you can focus on kind of remembering that and regaining that. So, Aquarius, that is your reading for the first half of October. I hope you found it useful and helpful. Again, if you did, or any of the videos, and you'd like to reach out for a personal reading, just click on the description link below. Email me directly at maggie1maguire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to hear from you. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the mid-month readings. Until then, stay safe and well, be blessed, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.